This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1120, and it's a Relevant Podcast post-Thanksgiving edition.
Yeah.
Here in Orlando, I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, Tennessee, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
And that's it. Derek and Marty are off today. A little behind the scenes. I feel like we are a sports podcast that had to do an emergency episode after a big game. Like the Super Bowl, and they recorded that night, to get it out first thing in the morning. We are recording this as everybody is still coming back from Thanksgiving weekend to get it out on time for Tuesday. So this is one of our 11:59 type episodes.
That's how important this is. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Derek and Marty are still in a food coma somewhere, so they're they'll be back Wednesday, hopefully.
How was y'all's Thanksgiving breaks? Jesse, you were with extended family up in the Northeast. Yeah.
Lovely. It was cold, refreshing.
Extended family, though, right? Lots of people in the house.
Oh, yeah. Very, very crowded house. Lots of fun. Had by all. But not too bad travel.
Emily, you were in Texas.
But yeah, Thanksgiving was great. That had a couple people in town. Met my younger cousin's boyfriend. Seems great. We'll see if it sticks out. It's only been 3 months, so it was a bold move to show up to Thanksgiving.
That's a bold move. 3 months. That's a bold move.
That's right on the bubble. I feel like
right. Yeah,
3 months.
Yeah, I was wondering. Is 3 months too soon? That's like
I feel like you're on the outer end of the bubble. Like you're on the. I did have one travel. I forgot this happening. I traveled with my family of 4. We all have TSA pre-check, right? Mm-hmm. So we get to the security line. We check our bags and everything. We get there and we go to the TSA pre-check side, right? For some reason, I'm not going to call it the airline. It doesn't really matter. The airline did not put on my boarding pass the TSA pre-check little emblem, though on the reservation, which was on my phone, it said TSA pre-check, right? This is easily resolvable here. I have it. All 4 members of my family are clearly TSA pre-check. We're in the pre-check line. I have it on my phone reservation. Anyway, TSA agent says, you're not going through. You're not TSA pre-check. You don't have it. And I was like, well, I do have it. I've paid the money and gone to a little building and made the whole appointment. It seems like a big to do. Seems like we could just greenlight everyone. But I was like, I do have it, sir. And I was like, look, it's right here on the reservation. He goes, you don't have TSA pre-check. I was like, clearly, it's just not on the ticket. It's right here on the reservation. And he said, I can go back down to the ticket counter and get it reprinted off. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. That's, that's going to take forever. Then he told my family to go through and he sent me, demanded I leave the TSA line and go to the other line, which at this point was very, very long. And there's and there's several different gate agents. He's just a TSA guy, right? So anyway, I wait there for 20 minutes while my family goes to security. I finally get through that line 20 minutes, half hour later, and to another gate agent booth, and they had a shift change. And it's the same guy. It is the same guy that sent me away. And he's like, ID, sir. And I'm like, here it is again. And I hand him the ID. And then he sends me into the TSA side, which I would have been in the first place. It was such a power move, but I was so powerless. That is a power dynamic. You have nothing you're able to do. They can just, he was clearly
you can't
just
storm the TSA. They will, that's going to end badly for everyone.
Storm? Nobody's overthrowing the TSA, Emily.
No, that's what I'm saying. You can't. You just have to do what they say.
I don't think anybody wants to storm the TSA. I don't know.
People get real testy waiting in a line for a while.
Yeah, well, but you can't even. It's like watching an NBA game, Cameron. The player has a little bit of leash to say something back to the ref, but you say one wrong thing and they're going to mess up that player's day. That's how it was with me with this guy. I was one.
He was
comment
your Scott Foster
away.
To your Chris Paul.
I was one comment away from being pulled into a secret room and being searched. I missed my flight. Anyway, how was your Thanksgiving, Cameron?
It was good. I didn't travel. Everybody came to me, extended family. Didn't have Cohen, but I did have the cliche awkward moment at the dinner table between the generations. I was down on the end of the table with the elderliest uncle and my brother, who's the black sheep of the family. So I'm in between the two of them. They're facing each other. I'm on the end of the table. They're facing each other. We're making chit chat. We have nothing in common. Okay. I mean, that's the trouble. The other relatives down the other end of the table go to dinner all the time. They're just talking like normal. Old uncle's stuck with me and my brother, so he's just asked. So he's asking my brother, like, when are you getting married? When you have kids? Things that irritate my brother. My brother's, old enough now that he's clearly made decisions in his life. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not like, so he just gets irritated when the family does stuff like that. And so and then there's just other conversations that I could just see my brother getting more and more frustrated, but he's biting his tongue. Then my uncle literally talked about something about judges came up, and he said something about Oh, no, it wasn't judges. It was about all these allegations last week that came out about celebrities with improper sexual stuff, like old civil cases coming up and he was just like, I wonder why it's all happening all at once. And I was like, well, because certain states, including New York, had a statute after the Me Too movement where they opened up the statute of limitations. And that deadline is this weekend.
Yeah.
So there's this flurry of civil suits happening about old, improper conduct and stuff. And so I just mentioned that, and he goes, well, I'm just waiting for it to come out. Lawsuits against Biden, because, he likes all those little girls. My brother said, okay, I'm going home, everybody. It's nice seeing you all. And he walked out of the house. He literally just left. He had enough. And I have so much respect for my brother. No conflict. He's not going to argue back. Say? Well, he muttered under his breath. That is ridiculous. And then he verbally said loudly to the table, goodbye, everybody. It's been nice seeing you all. And he literally just walked out the door.
What did everyone say? Was there a
Nobody
slow
heard
clap?
It. Nobody heard it. Nobody but me and my brother heard it. That was the thing. My parents feigned ignorance. Everybody was like, oh, I didn't even know any political talk was happening. And I gently explained to the family, we have a no political rule here at the house. It's my house, my rules. We don't talk politics at the dinner table. Some politics stuff was mentioned. Chandler was uncomfortable when he left. I don't think my uncle heard half of what was said. He's, again, the elderliest uncle. So I don't think he's offended or anything. I don't think he realizes he's the reason why my brother left. But yeah, no, I saw it happen in real life. I saw the politics talk and my brother bolted. So
I love it. It's like he had like a flashcard of words or phrases that if were uttered, that was his escape. It was his, I don't know if this is appropriate or not. It was like his Thanksgiving dinner, safe words. Okay, it stops. Once I hear this, I'm up and leaving. This is, is that an inappropriate, term or trigger word? It was like his Thanksgiving. Yeah. It was like his Thanksgiving dinner trigger word. If any of these are uttered, I'm standing up and leaving this situation. It was great.
Yeah. I think he had a game plan in mind. How he's like, life's too short. I don't need to subject myself to certain ignorant hate speech, and I will not condone it, and I will leave.
But it could have been transcended politics. There could have been a whole list of things on his. Well, that's what I'm saying. I think
it was building up for him because it was they ask about his job, and he has a bunch of jobs. He has a bunch of different things he does. He's always kind of changing different interests and focus and stuff like that. And so every year the family asks him about his career. And so he was getting frustrated with that, getting frustrated with the relationship questions. He was just it was just like you were saying, he was just kind of building up. He was hitting his limit. And then when Biden touching the little girls happened, he's out. So all right.
Did he take a to-go plate or did he just leave?
No,
did he just abandon the plate?
Toward the end of the meal, he was like, I don't need to abide this. I'm done. I finished eating. I'll get he texted me later. I'll get my Tupperware for you another time because he brought a dish. So
at that point, you just leave the Tupperware. I feel like Tupperware is something that when a dinner party goes south, you just sacrifice. You're not seeing that again. It's basically disposable. Half the Tupperware each of us have in our home, was left there because someone left a dinner party early and they're not coming back for it. Like, you know, that's just how Tupperware exchanges work.
My entire cabinet of Tupperwares, I didn't buy any of this. I don't know where any of this came from. So
yeah.
If it's meant to come back to you, it will.
At dinner parties.
We're shifting modes. Post-holiday, I now have Christmas decoration tubs around my house. I'm decorating for Christmas, getting ready for, you know, the next season, getting lights up and all that kind of stuff. Are you guys preparing? Are you sprucing up, buying new fancy outfits for all the Christmas parties or anything?
I don't know about outfits, but I'm going tree shopping today. Which
you get a real tree?
I go to the same tree. I do, and I go to the same tree lot every year.
Me too.
Every year,
the price is going to be 50% higher than it was 2 years ago.
Well,
according to my experience.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Because the guy by Christmas tree lot, I mean, if you had to imagine a guy who's the proprietor of a Christmas tree lot that lives up in the mountains of Virginia somewhere and brings these down once a year, overalls, big red hair, red beard, you know, this is the guy. I get a history lesson on the economy of Christmas trees every Christmas. You can tell he doesn't get a lot of social interaction up there on the Christmas tree farm. Like he loves to. But here's the odd thing about the Christmas tree, the economics of the Christmas tree lot is that and this is what's so funny because I'm like, oh man, they're higher this year. Is it because of this, and this? He goes, no. The economics of the Christmas tree lot are determined by the economic conditions of 20 years ago this year, because that's when those trees were planted. And that's when our costs, like he had this whole thing. I'm like, these Christmas tree prices are a result of a housing market crisis 20 years ago. Cause that's how long it took the Christmas trees to grow. Trust me, I'm an expert in this. I get a whole lesson.
Well, fuel costs this year would affect things, you know, like transporting them. Right.
Listen,
labor costs to cut them down. He has to pay a higher wage.
I don't think he's paying anybody. I think this is a one man kind of operation. I think he's just coasting. I think it's limited fuel. I think he's just coasting down from the mountains.
Yeah, I guess it would be downhill the whole way.
I think he's fueled on like Christmas tree sap. I'm pretty sure. Oh, but I got in a day early from my Thanksgiving because I wanted to get some ducks in a row. Got a haircut yesterday and had a very odd experience when I was getting my haircut. The nice woman doing my, cutting my hair acted as if what I was telling her was an option for her, and that ultimately she was the one who was going to decide what the haircut would be. I kept telling her what I wanted, and she said, "No, I'm not going to do that. That's not going to look good." I'm like, but that's what I want. She's like, no, we're not going to take that much off this.
Your
part.
haircut is the same every time. What was she disputing? Did you want to do a mullet this time or something?
It was, I wanted more off different places. I wanted a light. She just flat out refused. She goes, no, your hair is not going to look good like that. I'm not going to do it.
Jesse, this is a trust the chef situation. You go to a Michelin star restaurant. You don't say no olives and extra cheese.
But
say,
I was at the equivalent of like
chef.
I was at the equivalent of a Subway sandwich artist where they may be a sandwich artist, but I'm in charge of what fixins are going on. You know what I mean? I wasn't at a Michelin star.
So you weren't at a salon where this is this is an expert artist. You were at a Fantastic Sam's level.
This was a
Supercuts
chain.
level.
This was a chain.
Never trust them. Yes,
next
be
to
hands on with those guys.
Next to a GNC and a Marshalls.
They've been cutting hair for all of 2.5 weeks at that. Yeah.
I went to a mall on Friday to see a movie, and across from the AMC was a place called the Academy College of Hair. And I feel like this person maybe graduated from the Academy College of Hair. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
Yeah. I would say in this situation, you could impose your desires. If I'm at a salon and I'm splurging on an expensive haircut, I tell them whatever you think looks good. But you see my face shape. You're the expert.
I couldn't impose it. I was attempting to, and there was just a flat out refusal. It was like, did I tell you guys my coffee shop story the other day?
No.
Where I went to one of those bougie, I told you guys, I think I told the story. I went to one of those bougie, artisan coffee shops that, the hipstery kind where, people wear beanies, even though it's, in the dead of summer or whatever, and flannels, everyone looks like they're in a Portlandia sketch. I go and I order my beverage, which I order the same thing every time. I like an iced chai with a shot of espresso. It's a very simple order. You know, I was told when I ordered it that it doesn't pair well. And I said, that's okay.
It's tea and coffee. That's no good.
I ordered, there's a name for it. It's called a dirty chai. I don't say it because you sound ridiculous saying it. But the barista said...
That's right. I remember you telling this story.
The barista said that doesn't... Yeah, that doesn't pair well. And I was like, I didn't... That's fine. That's what I want. They flat out refused to make it. And they said that I could order 2 different drinks and then do it myself. It was the same situation. What is happening to this country? You know what I mean? Like,
it kind of sounds like the world's kind of out to get you. Like, first the TSA agent, then the haircut.
It sounds like the world has evolved and Jesse is digging his heels in the sand, refusing to go with it. I like a hairstyle from 2004 and I'm sticking with it. No, sir. This is better now.
Yeah, I'm digging it. Yeah, I am such an old timer. I'm really, you know.
You're the youngest 80-year-old I've ever met.
I'm trying to, overthrow social order by ordering a coffee with the ingredients I want in it. Oh my gosh! Look, the revolution begins.
You're going to be the uncle at Thanksgiving next year. That causes someone to leave.
Who won the standoff about the hairstyle? Because your hair looks nice.
You're looking at it. She did. There was nothing I could say.
What did you want different? This is how your haircuts always look. It
wasn't a negotiate. I wanted more hair off.
Oh.
And she was tapering, and I wanted the clippers, and it wasn't a negotiation. It was nothing to win. She was just saying she wasn't going to do it.
That's
what
funny.
I'm saying.
Can you ask for a different stylist?
In the tip situation? Did you tip the service?
Of course, because it's one of the tips where they can see you do it. You always pick the middle one. And the middle one now is like 21%. It used to be like 10, 15 was right 20. Up the middle, and 20. Now, 20 is on the back end.
15 is on the low, yeah.
So I always choose the middle one, no matter the level of service, because it's too awkward to do anything other than on the little iPad, not hit the middle one.
I ordered Mexican food for takeout last night, and when I was ordering online, or for pickup, I had the tip options, and the lowest tip was 15, 20, and then 25% for takeout. Like, you're literally just putting it in a box for me, and I carry it out. This isn't like table service where you're coming and checking and refilling and whatever. So I did and I did a flat 10% on that. I was like, You work for tips, I get it, but your entire task with me is all of 45 seconds. It's not a 45-minute dinner where you have to check on me.
Well, I think some of the tip goes to the chef too. They split tips with the chef.
But not all restaurants, not in my experience. We would have to tip out the bartenders and the hostess, but we didn't have to tip out the chef or the cooks.
I've been at a bar where I've ordered like a drink and it and it was like a bottle of Coke or something. It wasn't even like something that required a bottle opener, right? It wasn't even tipping for that. It was for them or a bottle of water or something where they reached out of a refrigerator, handed it to me. And then I still have to figure out what the tip situation, like, am I literally just tipping for the effort it took to pull that out of the refrigerator and hand it to me? Like, what is the tip going for here?
Well, it's supplementing their minimum wage. I mean, that's the problem is just pay your staff correctly. And I think in the takeout industry, it should be pay your staff correctly and don't leave it up to this awkward situation. We need to go back to a society where certain tasks are not tipped and certain ones are, but we just need to fix the wage situation in my mind.
Oh.
Well, we have a great show in store for you today. Coming up later, we talk to Eugene Cho. He's the president of Bread for the World and one of our favorite pastors and speakers. Also, at the end of the show, we have an Ask the Cast holiday edition. You guys have had a lot of life conundrums this season that you needed some input on. You do not want to miss that. There's some great questions. Can't wait for it. Stay tuned. Up next, it's Slices.
Tip me over, it all falls down. Nothing to lose, I'm in a good mood now. What do? I'm in a good mood. All you want is the old me. Ooh,
You're listening to The Rubens. The song is Good Mood. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. All right, it's time for
Slices.
What do you have, Jesse?
All right. This is one. Emily found this on the web, and I'm surprised it wasn't. I'm surprised it didn't get more publicity over the weekend. By the way, speaking of which, every time I see a news story, I'm like, I heard nothing about this. It surprises me. So good job, Emily. I feel like I'm pretty tuned in to what's happening around the world. That's why my wife made a comment to me over the weekend while we were staying at my in-laws with my extended family and my twin nieces who are like 3 years old. We're getting on the plane to leave. And she goes, "Did you hear?" Like, what? She goes, "They found the elephant." And I was like, "There's been an elephant on the loose?" Like, the people are talking about a loose elephant. How did this happen? And one, how did I not know? It was like one of those news stories where it's like, "Oh, did you hear?" You know, it's like when the submarine deal. It's like, "Oh, everyone's talking about this. Everyone's got a
Where
take
did they
here."
lose an elephant? I never heard about this. I wasn't online this weekend either. So
what? And she was like, "Oh no, like the elephant pacifier that Emma Neva lost. It was jammed in the cow." I was like, "You can't lead with they found the. Did you hear they found the elephant and talk
like
about
in the local news there in New Jersey? They found the elephant. Thankfully, the streets are safe again."
Yeah, and you're talking about my niece's stuffed toy that was lost all week. I didn't even know there's an elephant lot. Anyway,
Wait, I do need you to know when I was looking for stories, because it just was a slow news weekend because everyone was off. I saw a story about the horse getting loose on the plane, but it was on a different website. So in my mind, I thought, "Oh my God, another horse got loose on a plane." And then I realized it was actually just an old news story.
Well, either way, this is equally as interesting. This is from the Associated Press. 4 men were charged with the theft of an 18-karat gold toilet from a palace at an English country mansion where Winston Churchill was born. The toilet is valued at almost $6 million, and it vanished overnight in September of 2019. Now, the toilet was a piece of artwork called America, and was this is according to the Associated Press, intended to be a pointed satire about excessive wealth by an Italian conceptual artist. The 7 people had been arrested over the heist, but no charges had been brought until Monday. Now, it doesn't give any reason of why what's been happening, what the investigation has looked like all this time. But the toilet has never been recovered. I would like to read why this was such a big deal. The golden toilet was fully functioning, and prior to the theft, visitors to the exhibition could book a 3-minute appointment to use it. And because the toilet had been connected to the palace plumbing system, its removal caused, quote, significant damage and flooding to the 18th century building, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I have so many questions about this story. Who is booking? Like, how long is that toilet booked? How long is 3 minutes on that John booked out for? Like, just to say you used a golden toilet at a palace. Like, and how much were they? Was it booked around the clock? You know, obviously not, because somehow these
working
people
hours. It's got to be visitor hours. You can't.
Well, somehow some of these visitors were able to uninstall it and steal it.
Maybe they did it consecutively. Like there was like 5 of them, and they booked a 15-minute block. So they were able to get
But here's my I'm not feeling well. I need to give me another 3 minutes.
Can I get an extension, please? Yeah.
How much does it cost? Did it say how much it costs to book 3 minutes? Was it worth the time?
I evidently had been operational for a while, so maybe it's variable pricing based on demand, based on what they were serving that day at the Palace cafeteria for tourists. Chili dogs. Oh, all right. Get your rest. Get your
you
ticket
get 5
now.
minutes actually on chili dog day.
Yeah, book a double slot. But the other question, what was the game plan? I always think about this when I watch a heist movie and they steal like a famous painting or a statue or something, you know? What are you going to walk into the pawn shop with a golden toilet and it's all over the news that Winston Churchill's golden toilet was stolen? Like, where'd you... What was the game plan?
Dude, I hate to give the real answer, but there's a black market for art dealings and stolen art. There's absolutely...
How many people are in the market for a golden toilet?
Yeah, but I mean, like, imagine if you're one of these not so integrous collectors, that would be a trophy piece.
Sure.
Or a throne piece.
So let's say you do buy it. Do you use it or do you just put it on display that you have a golden toilet?
I think you start charging people at your own house. I think it has an established business model.
You say you can use the guest room, or for $20 you can use the golden bathroom.
You can use Winston Churchill's golden toilet.
That is impressive.
Put a price on that.
That they could unwrench it and get out of there with it. I mean, how did they get it out?
I think some crimes are so impressive that if you get away with it, it's like, all right, fair enough. You know, like challenge solved.
I hope this is the plot of the next Ocean's movie because I would see this.
Have you seen the video, that guy who's going around to like escape rooms, like the storefront, you know, like what I'm talking about? It's like escape rooms that run out of like a little storefront, you know, kind of, and he goes in with a bike lock and he goes and he opens the door and he throws in clues. Like written on a piece of paper and then slams.
But he only goes to ones where there's one entrance and exit. There's not like a back entrance or a back exit. Like some of the storefront ones, there's literally one door into the storefront. And
seems like a real fire risk, but either way, it's like that. Some things it's like, oh, he's got a point.
When I saw that on social media, I was reading that he was terrorizing this one escape room. Not that he was going to multiple ones, but there's this one escape room in his town that he had a bad experience at or whatever. And he's to get revenge.
No,
he goes
I think
up to them.
I think he's serial, you know.
But he's serialized it at that location too. Like he keeps coming back and locking the front door and throwing in instructions on how to undo the lock. And like, I read that he's done it multiple times at this one location. So he's going around the whole city too, like a bank robber. Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sounds like he needs a job.
Funny.
That's what I'm saying. I support things like that. Like those are crimes that I feel like we should just socially turn a blind eye to. And if you still went in Churchill's golden toilet and you got away with it, it's like, kind of cool, man. That's, yeah. I mean, I'm very impressed. You damage 18th century plumbing, but to be honest, that's probably a couple wet wipes could do that job. So it's no big deal.
Yeah, it was due for repiping anyway. So, all right, what do you have, Emily?
Okay, so there's a listing on Facebook Marketplace that is like legitimate. Someone put this on Facebook Marketplace. They were looking for a roommate to share half their bed. So not even like another room or another bed in the room. They were like, this is for, you can have half of my bed, and they'll share the space together. But it was going for $650 in Toronto.
For half of a queen size bed in Toronto.
Half a queen size bed.
When I read this, like, because we posted this last week, when I read this, I was like, I can't believe somebody is that audacious. Like, that's disgusting. But deep in the news coverage, it mentioned that this is a thing, like in certain metro areas, like this one Facebook Marketplace listing kind of went viral, but apparently, and they pulled it down because of the virality of it.
Yeah.
But apparently, like, this is a thing that they do, is like they'll share their beds. There's a term for it.
Yeah, it's called hot bedding.
Hot bedding.
That makes me more uncomfortable.
I would never hotbed with a stranger. I won't hotbed with a friend. I mean, like,
what's the comforter situation? Are you on? Is one below and the other on top with like a throw blanket? Because that's a different
I think you can decide that with your
That's cold
bedmate.
betting.
There was a survey in 2021 where they polled 7,000 students. This is in Australia. They polled 7,000 students, and 3% said that they had resorted to hot bedding to save on rent, which is not a huge amount, but still enough people that have done it. That
3 out
is
of 100
alarming.
people are renting half their bed. That's 3 more than I thought. That's crazy.
So what I'm hearing is you guys would not be interested in this, even if it was to save on rent.
To a stranger that answered here's the deal. It's not necessarily that you are renting out half your bed. Who is renting out half your bed? I don't want to lay next to that person. You know, that's
Right.
the thing that
It's like equally weird. It's like weird that you're offering it, but also weird that someone would take you up on that offer.
put a
Like,
cot, put an air mattress on the floor. Like why are you renting out half your bed?
and also the fact that it was a queen size. It was like, if it was like a king, be a little bit better, but a queen's not big enough for 2 strangers.
Again, it all comes down to me to the comforter situation, and is it one? Like I said, is someone on top, someone under, and like how large is the throw blanket, and can I sort of burrito myself in it? Because then I feel like I have an extra layer of just solitude, physical independence. If I can burrito myself,
Those Sleep Number beds where it's like 2 twin beds kind of pushed together.
yeah.
And maybe it's one of those situations. I don't know if that's any better.
No, it's a queen. The 2 together is the king.
Like I said, if you can just wrap yourself in a blanket, then you're basically, it's like 2 people in sleeping bags and tents, and people do that all the time.
All I'm saying is the housing crisis is getting a little crazy out there. So if you need to save on rent, you can split your bed. Just something to
Get
think
a hot
about.
bed.
All right, that'll do it for
Slices.
Stay tuned. Up next, Eugene Cho joins us.
Way back in Perryland. Just got to school at 7:38. Look at the locker, I don't see my name. I look again, maybe just in case. Went to the coach and asked him, hey, what happened for the
You're listening to Holvey. The song is Perry Lane. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com. Well, our guest today is Eugene Cho. He's president of Bread for the World, a nonprofit organization that addresses food insecurity around the globe. We talked to him about the struggles Americans face this time of year when it comes to food insecurity and how Christians can help address those needs. Here's our conversation with Eugene Cho.
So something that Bread for the World addresses, obviously, is food insecurity internationally, but also domestically. And I think a lot of Americans can kind of struggle to understand how you can live in this country and not have enough access to food. So can you describe the reality of food insecurity in America?
So right now, we have approximately 41.5 million people basically on food stamps, something called the SNAP program. There's another program called the Women, Infant, and Children program, which is also a federal program. My wife and I and our kids, we were on the WIC program many, many years ago. And it was a safety net. We went through a season of our lives when we were planting a church as a pastor, when things didn't quite go the way that we had envisioned and didn't have a paycheck. We didn't really have a church at that time, couldn't get a job. I was unemployed for a while. And I was so grateful for that federal program. And so you could say that we were an example in that season of our lives as a food insecure program. We weren't starving, but we weren't quite sure where we were going to get some of our next meal. It may not have been necessarily that absolute next meal, but as we were considering that week or certainly that month and we were budgeting, we had to make some really tough decisions about whether we spend our resources on electricity, on rent, and on food. And as a result, you begin to compromise your food, you begin to compromise your nutritional intake, and then you begin to have these really difficult decisions, like maybe we need to eat less in order for our children to eat more. So I want to say it one more time. Right now, 1 out of 10 households in the United States have difficulties putting food on the table. For Black households, for Indigenous families, the numbers are more than twice that. So it's really about the uncertainty of not knowing where your food is going to come. And it's not just the emotional toll, right, Emily? It's also, there's a toll that it has on our minds, on our emotional health, on our anxiety as well. And I think for many of us who don't understand food insecurity, we can get it intellectually. We understand the data. And I think we may even have a level of empathy. But unless you really have gone through it, you just don't quite grasp the anxiety that comes in when we're not quite sure how we're going to feed ourselves and to feed our children. Now, granted, there are these federal programs, and we're grateful for that. We have these food banks and church food pantries, and the list goes on. But clearly, what statistics and data and stories from neighbors, human beings that are going through this, what we know and learn is that it's just not enough. I'll give you one story. The SNAP program is the nation's largest, most substantive, most impactful program. And folks that are on SNAP, they basically tell you, and as a pastor, obviously I had congregants who were on the SNAP program. And there's two things that they would say. Number one is that they always felt a level of indignation or shame. And I was really saddened by even my leadership when you have congregants who were on food stamp programs and they just felt that they were unable to share that reality with others within that church. So there's still that, I think, dissonance, even in church communities, when we need to be more embracing and accepting and loving and empathetic. But the second thing that they shared that was really interesting is that across the board, their SNAP resources would expire. They would run out basically halfway through the month, or about 2.5 weeks into the month. And that's been verified by a lot of research. And so you've got folks that are eating 2.5 weeks into a month, and in the last 10 or so days, they're basically skimping by because they're just not quite sure how their food is going to come onto their dining tables.
I'm glad you brought up the feeling of shame that often comes with this, because I think a lot of us grew up with a message where, it was looked down upon to ask for help, which is obviously something we should move away from. So I'd love to know, how can the church be better about encouraging individuals who need help without shaming them?
That's a great question. And that needs to be a podcast in itself, like an entire series. And so Emily and Eugene launches a new podcast on normalizing certain things. So I think there's a few things that would come up. And for one, I know maybe we are using this word a lot, but I love the fact that we're using this word a lot, and it's the word empathy. is to place ourselves in the situation that others might be at. It's compassion, it's connection, it's to understand. And theologically, as Christians, this theology of the body of Christ, if anyone should get it, it's got to be us. Like, this is part of our very identity. And so I think we've got to keep speaking about these things, and not just speaking about it as intellectual abstracts, but again, understanding that Jesus, our Lord and Savior, not just a good moral teacher, but the person that we say we follow, we see this deep empathy and compassion. And it's not just empathy and compassion, it's friendship and relationship. He chooses to engage in friendship and relationship. But I think one of the ways that we can normalize this is we can speak about it, particularly from stage and from the pulpit, in a way that it's not a project. Sometimes one of the most dangerous and unjust things, like, there's a danger in trying to do justice unjustly. And I think one of the ways in which we do this is that we treat those who struggle with hunger and poverty as projects. And people were never intended or meant to be projects. These are our mothers and fathers. These are our sisters and brothers. These are our uncles and aunts. These are part of our very community. Again, the body of Christ. I was really surprised that in a way that I wasn't expecting to, but when I was sharing a little bit about our hunger story, our hunger insecurity story, when I was sharing that we were on a federal program, like, it shocked some people, but it also gave people permission to say, hey, this is actually normal. And we go through seasons of our lives. Now, obviously, that's not the only story, right? We want to make sure that people have good jobs, good paying jobs, good health, and the list goes on. For me, the reason why hunger is such an important issue is that it fits in and aligns so much with what I believe to be a biblical mandate for human flourishing. Like, God desires for people to flourish, and flourishing can't be possible without right relationship with God, right relationship with one another, right relationship with creation. But we also know that, yes, it's true that man does not live on bread alone, but we also know that Jesus was deeply committed and had compassion for those physically, their bodies were not receiving enough food and nutrition, right? John chapter 6, where Jesus feeds the multitudes of people, he teaches, but he also has compassion on their physical bodies as well. And so I think that's a way that we can try to normalize and build more compassion and empathy.
Well, food insecurity is obviously a big problem this time of year. And I know you've said before that one person is all it takes to make a difference. And so what practically can someone do to help address food insecurity in their area?
Yeah, great question. And I think it's important for us to know the information, to know the data, to have compassion, at our hearts be engaged. But at the same time, we also want to make a difference and make an impact. You know, I would suggest a few things, and we could talk about this and maybe transition to global hunger, because you could apply this to both of these things. Here's the first one. It's probably not going to satisfy many listeners, but I want them to know this is not the only answer. But I would say, let's make sure that we begin with prayer. And the reason why I say that is I think prayer is one of the ways in which compassion isn't a one-off. It's not just a prayer. It's not just a song that we sing. It's not just a 60-minute service or a 50-minute service in our Zoom world, but that when we pray about something and for someone or for some situation, it really begins to impact us as well. Like, we're asking the Holy Spirit to really move and compel and convict our hearts as well, in addition to caring for others. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing is to think about relationships. Like, how am I building relationships in such a way that I have an opportunity to learn about what others might be going through as well? So right now, if there are pastors and ministry leaders that are listening to this podcast, I guarantee you, even if you think your church or your town or your neighborhood is incredibly affluent or well off, I guarantee you there are people within our spheres, our communities that are struggling with issues of hunger. And not just your church, but if you think outside the walls of the church, since we know that God is calling us to be a good neighbor that extends beyond the walls of the church. And then I would say, practically, does your church have the ability to start a church pantry? And when you do that, you're also normalizing it, right? You're accepting and acknowledging, and you're inviting people to contribute to it. There are food banks in all of our neighborhoods, or at least many of our neighborhoods as well. Here's some good news and some opportunities for growth. 48% of churches either have a church pantry or have an active engagement with their local food banks. That's encouraging to me. The opportunity is there's about 52% of more churches that can also choose to engage it as well. You know, we all know that there's something about food that brings people together. And so here's another opportunity for us to be a good neighbor. The other way is our financial resources. We need to distribute financial resources. May we be compelled and convicted to give and share of our financial resources. And here's the last one. And this is particularly important to me because of the work that I do at Bread for the World. A lot of folks want to end with those things, and they're good, but I think we should also be calling and challenging our elected leaders to do their part as well, because we're not going to be able to make a sizable dent or impact on either national or global hunger just by food pantries, food banks, and church pantries, or our individual giving. We need our elected leaders, our government, both here in our nation, but also around the world, to do their part. And so Bread for the World exists to activate and mobilize the church, Christians, and others to help us inform legislation and policies that can make an incredible impact around hunger. I'll just give one example. Last year, we were able to help pass something called the child tax credit for 1 year. The child tax credit in that 1 year helped reduce childhood hunger in the United States by 30%. And we were encouraging people to make that a permanent child tax credit, or certainly extending it for 3 or 5 years, because research, both by Bread, but also by so many others, we believe that when you enact the childhood tax credit, it has the capacity of reducing childhood hunger in the United States by about 45%. And that's significant and dramatic. Earlier, I mentioned 13 million children. We can reduce that by half by enacting this policy and legislation. Is it messy? Of course. All legislation, all policies are messy. Here's why. Because people are messy. But when we can enact these things, and that's the reason why I'm encouraging your listeners, join us. Visit bread.org. Learn how you can raise your voices to be an advocate for issues of hunger, both in our nation and also around the world.
That was Eugene Cho. Make sure to check out the work they do at Bread for the World. You can find all the info at bread.org. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's Ask the Cast Holiday Edition. You're listening to Dominic Fike. The song is Mama's Boy, high school nickname. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's Soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. Okay, it is time for an Ask the Cast. It's the holidays. There's a lot of, changes happening in life. You got to buy presents. You got to holiday parties. You got to decorate all the things, deal with family. So you guys hit us up and gave us scenarios that you're facing and that you needed our input on. You hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast. Here's some of the questions. I'm just going to read them and you guys can help us figure this out. Erica Hall wrote in, I titled each one, The Mysterious Disappearing Dessert. This year for Thanksgiving, I spent hours making a cheesecake, she said. Desserts are a big thing in my family dinner, and it was my first year baking something from scratch. I was pretty excited and nervous, to be honest. So I took it to my mom's house where the extended family was all eating. Right before dinner, I look at the dessert table and notice my cheesecake is missing. Everyone claimed they didn't see what happened to it, but it wasn't in the trash or anything. It just disappeared. I have 2 suspects. My aunt, who loves cheesecake, hiding it for herself for later, and my other aunt, who also brought a cheesecake that she bought at the grocery store. I'm going to see them both again at Christmas. How do I set up a cheesecake sting operation and get the truth without ruining the holiday spirit? That's Erica Hall.
Well, the answer is clear here. I don't think people are going to like what I have to say, but it's the only way. You get a flavorless, fast-acting laxative. And
so you bake another cheesecake is what you're saying. Bring it to the Christmas party.
That's right. With a healthy Dumb and Dumber. We're talking Dumb and Dumber style here. Okay. I think people still remember it's an old film, but
Aunt Judy's going to be so mad.
You'll find out soon enough who the perpetrator is, if in fact they're eating it. And if no one eats it,
that
then
only works
it
if
wasn't
it's
the person
that eats it.
Exactly. But
what if nobody steals it this time and the whole family gets diarrhea?
Then, you just play dumb. Just we had a little
You're never going to be allowed to bake again for a family gathering.
They're not going to pin it on it's just a stomach bug. It happens all the time this time of year. There's bugs going around.
They don't know that it came from the cheesecake is what you're saying.
But you eliminate if there's no one going to use the golden, if you're charging to go on toilet, this is a great opportunity, by the way. But if no one is making an emergency departure from the party, then it wasn't the aunt that likes cheesecake. It was the one who felt like this is the only solution. Now you have to be absolutely willing to poison the whole family for a night. But if you want answers, it's the only conceivable way.
You got to risk it for the reward.
She could conspire with the rest of the family beforehand. I've bugged the cheesecake. So
that's
don't eat that cheesecake.
That's a lot of work. A lot of work. They'll be fine. They'll be just make sure they're hydrated.
Make sure they have slow dosages.
Have some Pedialyte in the fridge is what you're saying. All right.
Yeah, right.
Craig Thomas wrote in, I call this the holiday playlist peacekeeper. My family is divided into those who want to only listen to religious Christmas carols, my parents, and those who want a more diversified playlist, everyone else. How do you find a harmonious solution to keep everyone rocking around the Christmas tree?
You need to go on, and Emily, I'm interested in your take here, but I feel like you need to find one of the last remaining Christian bookstores out there. The old kind of Lifeways or, strip mall, Christian bookstores, because one of the key things they had was if you Soundgarden, you'll love the Newsboys. It was a perfect little list.
You like
and I'm
Run
sure
DMC, you'll love DC Talk. Yeah,
exactly. I'm sure they have some for Christmas time. Those are the only they're experts. That's what they do, or just find like a retired Lifeway employee and ask them, because they could provide some alternatives that would make those people happy. Emily, what's your take here?
My first thought was he needs to just pull kind of like a hairstylist situation like earlier and just say no and just put on whatever he wants.
But if mom and dad are offended by I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus by the Jackson 5 and they think we should only do Noel or Silent Night, like you're just going to put on the Jackson 5 and offend mom and dad?
I got it.
What?
This is, tell them you've been taking like Korean or French or something, and you've been doing like an immersive program, and just use foreign language. Great. Like K-pop, people listen to K-pop all the time. They don't care what the lyrics are. Just find the equivalent for Christmas. You're just listening to German pop Christmas music. No one knows the lyrics.
Okay, but then I have to listen to German pop Christian.
Yeah, that's true. German pop, some polka Christmas. Yeah. All right. John Graham wrote in. This is a conundrum. I called it the gift of regifting. John Graham says, last year for Christmas, I received a hideous Christmas sweater from my aunt. Like it was so bad you'd think it was a joke. So as a joke, I regifted it for my office's White Elephant gift exchange. Now my aunt just said in the family group text that she's excited to see me wear it at the family Christmas party this year. And what do I do? That's basically what he said. John Graham.
Did he say who he regifted it to?
No, it was a White Elephant gift at the Christmas office Christmas party. So he doesn't have it anymore. It's gone.
Mm. He's going to have to find the exact replica and act like he wears it all the time. That's the only thing.
It seems to me like maybe like his aunt like made it, or it's like so unique that I don't know.
Again, I think you go to your aunt's house the night before the Christmas party and deliver a delicious cheesecake that happens to be poisoned with a tremendous amount of flavorless laxative. If she doesn't go to the holiday party. If she happens to come down with a violent stomach bug the night before, she ain't coming, and disaster averted. And she got a cheesecake out of the deal.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
I think that's the only solution.
That seems like
that's the only
one.
solution, dude. Yeah, unless you can remember it and just go get one made or something.
I think it's what we call in the advice giving business a Christmas miracle.
Okay, last one. There's more. Maybe we'll get to it next week too. There's more, but JD Santino wrote in. I call this the case of the over-enthusiastic carolers. He says, a group of carolers has been serenading outside our house for 3 years straight. They come back every year. How do you politely ask them to move on to the next house or skip ours without offending our neighbors?
Is it like a nightly thing, or is it just once a year that you have to endure this?
I'm getting that they just show up every year and he just doesn't enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, you could do it seems like you could do the lights out thing, like, like Halloween. But if you want to send the message, I think you volunteer, you get very excited this year, extremely excited. Yeah. And you join their crew for the evening. And are just awful. Just the worst. I thought you were going to say you would thank them for their singing with a lovely cheesecake. I thought about that, but that's only going to resolve for the one night because they're not going to know where they got the stomach bug.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But if you join them and be like, guys, this is great. I look forward to it every year, and I'd like to be a part of this. And then you just go and you're just wailing, and you're just making up and ruin it. Guess whose house they're skipping over next year? 100%.
They don't want you to sidle up. I get it. So they come to your house and you're so inspired. You want to join them for the rest of the evening. So next year they're not even going to come to your house because they don't want that to happen again.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Then you're on the blacklist. I know.
Yeah. So you got to deal with it for one more year, but then you're free.
All right. Well, you guys sent in more, and actually we'll do this again on next Tuesday's show. So send in more of your holiday conundrums, like would you have handled the dinner situation differently than my brother did? Stuff like that. Well, before we wrap things up, a couple updates. Make sure to go check out relevantstore.com. Right now, we are running a 30% off Christmas sale. There's a bunch of new merch. Plus, we have our magazine and book archives and other stuff as well. Some podcast swag. Go check it out. 30% off right now. You just use code GET30. You check out, but the reminder is right there all over the site, so you don't have to write that down. Also, make sure to check out relevantmagazine.com every weekday, where we are covering the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. We have articles covering life in your 20s and 30s, faith, career, relationships, the whole thing. It's a lot of great content. Go check it out. And if you see stuff you like, share it with your friends, post on socials, spread the word, interact, engage, and follow us on all the socials too. On that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Friday. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
It all comes down to the comforter situation.
Relevant Podcast Network.